Hello students, I am now discussing some important questions for VIVA VOCE. I'm take the first topic. Let's take the first topic of the revision of class 11. Now in this topic, for many times they ask you about the questions related to variables and uh, different types of literals. Especially this type of questions, maybe what is the difference between this single quote A, double quote, this double quote A, and then this one between uh, this slash 0. Okay, these are basically. So this is a very simple one. Like this one is basically a character, and this is a string, and this also is a character. This also is a character, but it is a we call it a we call this is a character, but it's representing a null character. Okay, null character. There are some characters. This slash is basically is a reserve for all type of escape characters. When you are going to type those characters, you are not going to get any visual on the screen. So this is the very first type of question. Then there are questions related to your uh, between the difference between the switch and if else if. Okay, so this is also, switch is basically only for equality comparison. Equality comparison you can do with the switch, and it can only evaluate integral type conditions. Okay, so the condition statement for the equality comparison, we need the value which is of an integer type. Now if we go for if else if, it takes it can perform all types of comparisons. It can do comparisons, and condition can be of any type. It's not necessary it should be integral type of comparison is required. Okay, so all types of conditions can be tested. Then the next type of question is like the entry control loop and exit control loop Okay, so if you look for the entry control loop, basically here the condition is tested at the start of the loop, or at the beginning of the loop, okay. And one other thing like a while loop, for loop, and as I said here, if the condition is false at the beginning, at the start, so the body of loop may not be will not be rather executed at all. Correct. In case of exit control loop, the condition is tested at the end, or you can say after the execution of body of loop. So here the condition this exit control loop, this loop will always executes for once. Okay, and here example is a do while loop. Then your break and versus continue statement, I think these are also very easy. Break means just it terminates the execution of loop, and your continue will skips the remaining part of the loop and moves to the next iteration. Okay, this is a break versus continue. Then there are some important keywords are there, like type def is there. So type def, it's for to declare uh, alternative for existing data type. Okay, and then you have a, I think you have already seen, like type def, you write long int, and you write then you're writing um, like currency, something like that. Okay, so currency is the new name. Then we have reference variables. Okay. mm. Reference variable, like type def is basically to give a existing name to the data type. Reference variable, it gives a alternative or alias name to an existing variable. So basically, using the reference variable, you can give a existing variable name, and you are writing x equal to 10, and then you can write int ampersand y equal to x. So this is one reference variable. Then comes the important topic of macros. Okay, macros means basically macros are like we use hash define to define macros. Okay, so macros means using hash define we declare symbolic text, and we can symbolic constants, not text, constant, and shorthand text for statements. Like you are declaring hash define max is 10. Okay, hash define sqr x is x into x. So these are the few is there. Like one more question you can see is the difference between implicit typecasting and explicit typecasting. Okay, so basically when you say the implicit typecasting, if you go for the implicit typecasting, we mean basically it is automatically done by the compiler. Okay, like cases like where you are having an integer x is there and you are storing a character value in it. Okay, character a, so it's automatically converting into because integer is a bigger data type, so to store a smaller data type into a longer data type. Okay, or bigger data type. Correct. Now in explicit typecasting, it is explicitly done using type operator. And here, like example, like you are writing some int x equal to float 3.14, so it will store only the integer part. Okay, so like to store a bigger data type into a smaller data type. Now the next topic is from the object-oriented programming, or OOP principles. Object-oriented programming principles. So here this abstraction is there, then encapsulation, polymorphism, then inheritance. Okay, so and there is some terms like abstract classes, concrete classes, what we can this. Okay, so like we start with the abstraction. Now abstraction means describing the essential features of a system, okay, or features of a system without showing the internal details of implementation. Okay, this is like the abstraction. Basically like you are declaring using the class you are doing. Okay, so you are doing a class, let's say car, and then in the car you are giving some functions like uh, start, then void stop, okay, something like void speed up. So basically these functions you have declared, so you can declare the functions without going to the internal details. So you can abstract a class, so you can, this is about abstraction. Now when we come to the encapsulation, encapsulation is combining data and functions into a single unit. Okay, this is about encapsulation. So basically it is the objects which encapsulates data and functions. Okay, now polymorphism already you know is that about for same function or operator behaves differently when different types of operands or parameters are passed. Okay, example is the function overloading. Okay, I hope you know function overloading. This is very simple, like you have multiple functions with same name but different set of parameters. This is about function overloading. There is another term which is there is a function overriding. Okay, so function overloading is like a multiple function, like void area is there one, then another like void area with two parameters, one parameter, then void area with two parameters. This is, and in function overriding what happen, you are doing a class A, this is a base class. Here you have a function like a show, and this code is there in the this, and then you have a class B which inherits from A, and this is also having a show function. So this is also a function overriding. So function overriding, basically a base class function is redefined in the derived class. Now we come to the inheritance. Now if you go for the inheritance, you know it's a concept like a base class. A base class is an existing class is derived in a new class, so its properties and data members or functions are becomes the member of the new class. Now there is an abstract class concept is there. So abstract class concept is like some classes, like it's there in the, it's not there in your syllabus except for the concept. Like you have a class called shape with some method like void dimensions or some method like void area, and then you have a class like let's say square. Okay, and this class is taking from inheriting from shape, and then we have a class, let's say rectangle, that is also inheriting from shape. So what happened in the, you are just declaring the sheep class is abstract class. It has certain methods which will be common for all the other subclasses or derived classes. But the definition of these methods will be provided by this derived classes, and it is not there in the abstract classes. So this square and uh, rect are the concrete classes. These are the concrete classes. That means you can create objects of the concrete classes, but you cannot create objects of the abstract classes. I hope you have understood what are concrete classes. Now this is the about the concrete classes. This is the object oriented principle. Now we come to a very common question is about the class. Now what is a class, what is the object? Now class is basically you can say it's a represents a set of objects having similar properties or say data features and similar type of behavior or actions, whatever you can say. So it is basically represents a set of objects having similar type of properties and behavior, and also we can say it represents a it is a composite user defined data type that combines functions and data into a single unit. Okay, so basically this is a class is basically a kind of a blueprint for all the objects which are having the same type of properties and same type of behavior, or we can say function. Okay, an object is basically is just an it's an instance of a class. Okay, so and each object has its own unique memory space for data members. Okay, and it exists it has its lifetime. Okay, so objects are not like permanent like classes are descriptions, so they stay forever, and but the objects comes into the existence when you declare a object of a class, and as soon as when the memory is allocated, once this part is over, then the object work is over, it goes out of memory, then it will be no more in use. Now other topics like inline member functions. Okay, inline member functions. So if you go for inline member functions, those functions which are member functions defined inside class. Okay, they become the defined inside class are the inline member function, automatically becomes inline member function. Okay, and basically what is their role? They speed up the execution of program. And what exactly it does, it replaces the function invocation with the function code. So it's not that all functions can become inline member function. There are some functions which can become inline member function. They should not have a, if you want to make a, you should not have a loop. Generally return statement static which are not there, which cannot be made inline member function. Now the next thing is the static data members. Now static data members, you know, these are basically preceded by static keyword. Okay, function data members precedes static keyword, and second here single copy is shared by all objects of the class. Okay, so some information which is not like you have a class for a student, so all the students are having the same school name, so you can declare a static data member like a school s name or school name. So all the students will have the same school name, so you don't need every student don't need have a data member for its own school name. Static member functions are like they are also preceded by static keyword. Okay, but it cannot access uh, any non-static data member and member. Okay, or it can access only static members. Static member functions, they have a same role as a static data member. Like static member functions can also be important thing is they are related to the class, not to any particular object, so they can be invoked by the uh, class. Okay, so you can have a static function, for example school name, okay, s name. So if the class student is the class, so like the school name is like the function is there, so you can call it directly, something like this. So you don't need an object for this thing. So this is for the, then we come for the constructors. So constructors are the functions having the same name as the name of the class, and we have different types of constructor like default, parameterized, copy. Okay, these are the three different types of constructors are there. So default constructor is the one which does not take no parameters. Okay, no parameters it takes. Okay, and obviously it takes parameters. And the copy constructor is the one it takes an existing object as parameter. Okay, so you can create a copy of a new object will be created as a copy of existing object. So this is how the copy constructor is there. The next topic is destructors. Okay, so destructor is same as like constructor with the tilde symbol, you know. So basically it deallocates the memory given to the data members. Okay, and one important thing is that it cannot be overloaded. So you cannot have the multiple definition of the destructors. Okay, so this is what we have come to the constructor. See, if you come to the inheritance chapters, so this the types of inheritance are there. Okay, so here basically your difference between the multiple and multi-level inheritance. So in multiple inheritance, a class inherits from multiple classes, and in multi-level a derived class inherits from another derived class. So this is multi-level inheritance is there. So, and one more like private and protected. So the only it's very simple, the private member can be only accessible within the class, and protected member can be accessible in the subclasses. Then if you, another topic is about the composition, or what we call is aggregation or composition. So like sometimes like you have a class in which the data member itself are objects of another classes. Okay, like you have a class computer and you are having a data members like you have a CPU as Intel. Okay, something like this. So like this there can be many other members. So this is the concept of the inheritance. Now the next chapter is from the file handling. So if you go to the data file handling chapter, so here the type of questions could be like a text file versus binary file. So we have already discussed text file means consists of ASCII codes. character. Okay, ASCII code characters, ASCII code characters, and is every character's data is stored as a set of ASCII code characters, and character translation takes place. Character translation takes place when you open the file. Place when you open the file. And for binary file, it basically encoded by the program, so so you cannot it is not readable by text editor, and you need the specific program to read the program and to display it contents, and there are no character translation takes place in this case. Then there are different file modes are there. Okay, so file modes like iOS out, then iOS app, it. Okay, iOS out is basically for writing, app for appending. It basically moves the file. You can move the file pointer in any direction. This is for iOS 8. Then you have so tell G and tell P. Okay, and seek G and seek P. Now this two tell G, tell P basically tells you about the byte position. Tell G is associated with the reading file pointer, and tell P is associated with the writing file pointer. Seek G is basically for moving the file pointer. You want to move the file pointer to a particular location. Then also, like example, you write here, if you are writing in position is equal to like whichever object, tell G, so it will tell the current byte position, and you want to move like the file pointer, so fin dot seek G, and let's see, you want to move 10 bytes from the current position, so you are going to write something like this. This is about the text file and binary file types of questions. Now we come to the topic of the pointers. So here the question itself is, what is a pointer? Pointer, you know, is a special type of a variable which holds the memory address, and pointers are also used for the static for the dynamic memory allocation. Okay. So there will be a question for based on like what is the difference between static versus dynamic memory allocation. Okay, dynamic memory allocation. So this also you can understand. See, static, like it's automatically done, like you are writing int x10, so this is a static memory allocation. But the same thing if you are writing something like this using a pointer and you're writing int 10, so this is dynamic, as you can create the memory at the during the, you can allocate the memory during the execution of the program. So now next, like you are having a this pointer, which is also a very common, like it holds the address of the object which is invoking a function, so it is always available in the, so using the this pointer you are, so it is the address of the this particular pointer, it holds the address of the object which is invoking a function. Okay, next is like self-referential structures. Okay, self-referential structures, you know, the structures having one of the element which itself, like your struct, you are writing book, and then you are writing int book number, b number. Okay, let's see, this is b number, char, b name, and then you are having one more. So this is an example of self-referential structure. Now questions like difference between stack and queue, stack versus queue, I think you know this thing, so I'm not discussing any in detail. Stack, you know, it's a addition and deletion takes place at the same end, which we call it stop, and queue, in addition and deletion takes place at different end. Deletion takes place from the end, which is known as the front, and addition takes place at the end, which is known as the rear. So one is a LIFO and one is a FIFO mechanism. So this is about the stack and queue. Now we are coming to the next part, is the about the database. So database, you can know about the primary key, a candidate key, alternate key, foreign key. Then you have a domain concept, then concept of a view, okay, cardinality, degree, okay. So these are the concepts are there. Primary key, you know, each where the attributes or those attributes which helps to uniquely identify each row of a table, and the primary constraint is that it should be unique and it should be not null. Candidate key means all the possible keys. So here this only they are unique, but and they must be not null. This constraint is not there. Alternate key are those which are not candidate key, which are not those are which we have not considered as a primary key. Foreign key is basically is a non-key attribute of one table which refer to a candidate key or the primary key attribute of the another table, helping in joining the two tables. Domain, you know, domain is the all the possible values for an attribute. View is basically is a derived information, okay, derived information, derived table based on a query. So this is a, then cardinality is the number of rows and degree is the number of columns. Now next we come to DDL versus DML statements. Now then DDL, you know, data definition language, DML is data manipulation language. DML commands like DDL commands are like if you go to the DDL commands, what are the DDL commands? Basically this is create, alter and drop. So basically the DDL commands are meant for to change, create, remove or modify the such structure of a database objects like table. And DML are basically, DML is data manipulation commands. Here like you have the update, insert, delete and select. So basically here it is not about the structure but about the data. So update is updating the data which is present, insert is adding a new data and all this. So then order by versus group by, then you are having where clause versus having clause. Where is basically applied to all each row of a tuple, where having clause is used with the group by clause, so it is applied on the set of tuples having the same value. Same is order by is for ascending and descending of a particular rows or tuples based on a column value, and group by is basically you are doing the same with the group by is on a set of tuples, so you are arranging them in a set of groups so that you can apply aggregate functions on it. You can see some other clause like between, and then is null. Then you have the command which we call is the like, okay, like. So these are basically, I think if you go through this topic this is okay. Now we come to the last chapter, which is networking. Networking basically types of, this is the simplest one, okay, types of networks. So this is LAN, MAN, WAN, PAN. So local area network, metropolitan area network, wide area network and personal area network. LAN, you know, is in a closed area. MAN is like covering a city, and WAN is like a wide area network across the continents, and PAN is a personal area network like within like the small set of devices communicating this thing. Then types of topologies. Okay, types of topology, star is there, bus is there, okay, and ring topology is there. So basically, you know, the difference is star topology, all the nodes are connected to a single device or hub, and bus, all nodes are connected to single cable, and ring, they are all in a circular, in to form a circle or a ring. Then we have a type of um, hardware or devices. So we have hub is there, then we have a switch, then we bridge is there, then router is there, gateway is there, okay, repeater is there, modem is there. Now if you see the hub is a just is a multi-port device in a star topology. It is used to connect all the devices, but basically it's a kind of a physical device, so it doesn't have any intelligence, so its bandwidth shared among all the nodes. Switch on the other hand is an intelligent kind of hub. We have already discussed, like its devices, its bandwidth is shared only between the intended source and the destination. Bridge is to join similar types or same type of the LAN, okay. They also act as a like a packet filter, so they reduce the traffic. And router on the other hand is not is basically different types of network it combines, but it is it just facilitate the communication via telling directing to the smallest path. So it uses the IP address. Remember, bridge use the MAC address. And then we come to gateway. Gateway is something like uh, it is the server in a network, especially we call it a proxy server, or it's a the exit and entry point of a network. So it allows or maybe it acts as a firewall, so it allows only restricted entry or exit from the network. Repeater is to extend the network, and modem is, you know, is convert the uh, analog to digital signals and digital data to again to analog. So like we have all the telephone wires and others which are only capable of carrying the this kind of data, only the analog data. Then there are certain things like your IP address is there, MAC address is there, URL is there, then your mm, domain name is there, okay. So IP address, you know, that is a 4-digit dotted address, like 192.168 from 1 to 55.5, something like you have been using. So IP address is basically 32 bits, and your MAC address is 48 bits, okay. And URL is uniform resource locator, and domain name, you know, like if you go for a www.hotmail.com, so this .com is basically the domain name. Domain name is like a common name given to servers which are serving the same purpose. Like is a .com is for the all the commercial servers, okay, commercial servers which are doing the commercial type of services or providing commercial services. Then a little bit about, you should know about the common terms like web browser, web server. Then we are having this okay, now web scripting languages. So here this is one is the client side scripting languages, okay, like VB JavaScript, and we have a server side scripting languages here, PHP, okay, ASP, okay, JSP. These are this. So basically client side server languages executes the code at the client, and that is on the browser, and server side is basically on the servers they execute, and then the whatever the HTML content produced is sent to the client. So this is about. Then your hackers, crackers, crackers, cookies, Okay, so more or less it is not very pinpointed answers are required. You just need to explain it in your own language, whatever your understanding is there, that is good enough. There are might be few more topics are there if you go through it, but more or less I have covered the topics which are very important. And one more important thing you should know about your project. So you have done a project, so you should know what the project objectives, what are the objectives of the project, what classes or functions you have used. Okay, so data file you have used or not, object oriented principle, what OOPS principle you have used, principles. So you should be able to answer this type of question also. If they ask you about the project, it is not that you are not knowing anything about the project. So you should go through the project, and you should know these are the things which you can easily, by seeing, going through the code, you can find it out. And listen, so key to answer any type of question, even if you are not knowing it fully, the answer, then you just have to listen carefully so that you can answer it in your own terms to whatever extent is possible for you. So if you go, if you know the content, even in case, even if you are not be at very high spirit, still you can answer it in a best way, by giving whatever you know, by telling whatever you know. So I think there won't be any problem for you to score very good marks in the practical exam. So all the very best to all of you. Thank you.